been interested in it, but for it to be in Texas, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? But I knew my husband, and I knew he was a truth teller. And so from that day forward, I went into research mode. Our children were grown. They'd been out of the home for quite a few years, and I knew I could really delve into the research of what was going on, and I was really interested. And so for a few years, I just got online every day, probably 8 to 10 hours a day. And I want to say for about 3 years before I ever told anybody besides my husband, and researched everything I could about Sasquatch and anything I felt was related to it. And then here I am today, traveling the North America, looking for the great North American Sasquatch. And this is really interesting, and I think extremely important, and probably going to be, outside of UFOs, the most important discovery mankind will ever make.
Why do you think that?
Why?
Why do you think that's more important than other things?
Well, this might be a little controversial, but depending on what the great North American Sasquatch truly is, could be a huge leap in the medical field of the human race. If it is part human, which I'm not saying it is or it is not, because there's so much speculation out there, I don't know what it is. I do believe it's, a primate, and we're primates as well. Could it be Gigantopithecus? Could it be Neanderthal? Could it be all of those things intertwined? Could it be something completely different? I do not know. But I do know, for proof that it exists at this time, we have to have a body. How that comes about doesn't really matter. We have to have a body. And once we do get a body, there's going to be all kinds of research done on that body. And I think that if it is, let's say, part human, and it's living in the forests of North America without any assistance from modern man or fire or medical assistance, I think the immune system could be life-changing for the human race. And I'm not saying that's what we need to do. I'm just saying that's why I believe it's probably going to be the most important discovery of our time.
I could see that, because that just leads into all kinds of wonderful information, quite frankly, because it is dealing with the same environmental issues that we are. Other than GMO, but that's not true either, because it would be exposed as well, depending on the areas that it traveled through. I believe Sasquatch is closer to, basically plopping down right in the middle between the great ape and us as humans. I don't know exactly where the connection is. I'm not a scientist, and I don't claim to be. I'm just out there trying to collect tools to help me with discovery and with facts. And
I'm
you're doing a good job with that. I'm just a simple girl from Texas.
Well, thank you.
And
I'm just a simple girl from Texas, like everybody else, but I'm trying to do it the right way.
Which is sometimes a bug in people's craw, but it is the right way.
Oh, girl.
Well, we're going to stop right there. We're coming back to that, because we are up already on our first break, and
where does the time go when you're having a great discussion? I just don't know. But we will be back. This will be 3 minutes. And we will catch y'all on the flip side.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. And hello, we are back. I am joined tonight by Shelly Covington-Montana. And we have a comment in chat, Shelly, in our Spreaker chat that says that you are the utmost professional researcher who teaches tracking, fire making, and cast. I could use the fire making and cast preparation, and that you're the wilderness field researcher. And you do. You're part of the Olypic Project. I mean, this guy apparently knows your work very well.
Well, I have a few followers who are very supportive, I'll have to say, and I appreciate that. And I do work really hard, and I spend 4 months of the summer. I leave in June out to the Pacific Northwest and stay out there by myself and with some other groups. I'm also associated with the BFRO and the Texas Bigfoot Research Center here in Texas. And so I'm really interested in what is facts and what is true evidence. When I do conferences, which I do quite a few a year, I talk about what really is the difference between our opinions that we think are evidence and what science would look at as evidence. Because at the end of the day, all I care about is if I get the attention of science. Because if you look at Bigfoot today versus
what Sasquatch research was 50 years ago or even 20 years ago. Sasquatch is a whole different entity today. He does all kinds of things he never did before. In my world and in the scientific world, I believe Sasquatch does 5 things, just like everything else on this earth. He eats, he sleeps, he poops, he mates, and he dies. And that's all that matters. All the other things that people try to imply that Sasquatch does is really based on opinion, because we have no evidence that they've, done anything like done tree structures or tree breaks, which very well could be true, but there is no evidence, true scientific evidence, that has been done, because nobody has ever recorded seeing them do such things. So when people come to me and say, what do you think of this, meaning a tree structure or a tree twist or whatever, I'm like, well, who told you Bigfoot does that? And that kind of throws people off, and it leaves a bad taste in their mouth, and I'm sorry, but I don't have time for all that. If you've got an up-close encounter, which I also talk about stories. We've got plenty of stories now of, encounters that people believe were Sasquatch, that were either tree knocks or howls and such. And that's all great, and I appreciate those. But at this point, we need to be only focusing, in my opinion, up-close encounters where you can describe the face or the body, the muscle structure, what it did, how it reacted to you, because if you're that close, it was reacting to you. And I think that's the scariest thing about being in the field with such a Sasquatch, is not that I see it, but it actually sees me. I believe people have become complacent with their own knowledge of what they think they know about the woods, because if I've heard one person say it, I've heard 1,000 people say, I've been raised in these woods and I know that wasn't a bear.
Right.
Well, that's all fine and great, but science doesn't care about that. What I care about is what science wants me to do. At the end of the day, if I go to a scientist and say, this is the evidence I have for you, I want to pique their interest. A story's not going to give them interest. My opinion's not going to give them interest. True, hard facts, I can hit you over the head, is what's going to give them interest. And that is what my goal is. That is why I'm in the field. That is what I'm looking for. I'm on a constant trying to go out and find what I can to help with my tool patch. What is it, my tool bag? What is it in my tool bag that's going to help me get the attention of science? Because once I get the attention of science and I say, hey, I'm just a simple girl from Texas, I don't have a degree, but this is what I have, I guarantee you, and Dr. Meldrum is one of those people who backs me and has told me I'm a true citizen scientist, and citizen scientist is a huge deal these days, and people need to pay attention to that. If you can be a true citizen scientist, science will help you. They will come out to help you, because the government entities, the private entities, do not have the manpower and they do not have the money to help us. They are depending on people like me and you who are going about it in a true citizen scientist aspect to help them prove things that are going on, be it any kind of science. That is a fact. I have researched the citizen scientist aspect, and there are organizations out there that are willing to help the average guy do research and collect proper data in the proper way, because government And private entities do not have the money or the manpower to do what we could do. And that is my goal.